Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So Will Prouse a few weeks ago made a suggestion that I talk about how I was able to trade in my silver for a car. And really, it was pretty easy. Once you're into trading silver bullion and gold, you start building up a network of people that you know in your community who are also into trading gold and silver. And so once you have done that after a while, it's really pretty easy to start transacting in gold and silver. And so when it came to the time that I needed a car, I knew a guy who was selling a car and I knew that he was into silver, and I said, "Hey, I don't have any cash. Will you take silver for trade?" Now, he wasn't really wanting the silver at the time. I think he was taking a vacation or something, so he really wanted the cash, but he said that he would take the silver off my hands and he was just going to go cash it in himself. So we made a deal. It was like, "Okay, well, it's either going to cost you this much in cash or I'll take this much in silver bullion." And so that's what I had, and so I pull out I think it was 165 ounces, I think is what it ended up coming down to. So I pulled out 165 ounces of silver that I had, which was quite a bit at the time for me. And I handed it over to him, and he signed the title and handed it back. I went down to the DMV, registered the vehicle in my name, and I had done the deal. It was pretty easy. About a year later, I bought another car off of the same guy. It's kind of the same thing. He had a Suburban for sale, and a lot of you guys remember the Suburban from previous videos that I had done. He wanted $1,500 for the Suburban. I traded him, I think it was 40 ounces, 40 Eagles, silver Eagles, and $700. I think that's what that deal ended up coming down to. And so I traded that over to him. Again, he signed the title over to me, and I had a vehicle in my name. So it was pretty easy to do the trade for a car. Like I said, it was with the same guy, but I already had the network built up. And then another time, like for example, I had traded some work for a roll of quarters. A guy had this old farmhouse, and in that farmhouse, the kitchen, now he didn't live in it, but the kitchen had a drain issue where the drains weren't done right. And he says, "Hey man, if you redo the drain from the kitchen to the septic tank, or the line that goes to the septic tank anyway, I'll give you this roll of quarters." And in underneath the house, it was pretty nasty. It was, pretty gross under there. But it was something I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do it." I didn't have much work going on at the time, and I had a hard time, accumulating silver if you don't have a lot of work going on. So I said, "Yeah, I'll do the deal." So, it took me, a few hours to, cut out the old line, put the new one in. And yeah, he gave me a roll of quarters for it. And so I think at the time, I think the roll of quarters was worth about $100. So, it was worth it to me. And so, yeah, once you have a network of people that you have started working with, then it's pretty easy to do deals with gold and silver. Now, if you don't know anybody in your community or anybody you trust, it's going to be pretty difficult to convince somebody to take your gold or to trade in gold. Like say, if you want to get rid of a car, trying to find somebody who out there who has silver that they're willing to trade their silver for your car. But once you have built a community up, like once you start buying, once you start talking with a lot of people and you start learning, who it is in your community who deals in silver, then pretty soon it's a lot easier to do these transactions. But even if you don't, you can always go down to the pawn shop and cash your silver in, or buy silver from them. Pawn shops, they're a little bit questionable sometimes. I have gotten good deals at the pawn shop before. Once you build a rapport up with the owners, then a lot of times they'll give you a good deal, just to keep your business going. So I have purchased a 10th ounce gold coin from my local pawn shop, and I thought he gave me a pretty good deal on it. I think I bought a 10th ounce gold coin for like $160 a while back. So, at the time, I think it was, it was a few dollars over spot price that I had ended up paying for that. But, it was a way to do the deal. Same thing with the coin dealers. They have pretty much a set, standard. I buy, silver for this much under spot price. I sell it for that much over spot price. So you kind of know ahead of time what they're going to be paying. And, you can always do deals that way with transacting in gold and silver and holding on to your gold and silver as far as the savings account goes. And here in the United States, a lot of people really don't hold gold and silver as a savings account. Now, a lot of people, if they do have any gold and silver, it's usually in jewelry form. And in that case, when you pay for it, you end up paying a lot more than, the spot price of the weight value of it. And when you go to cash it in, they never give you, like, especially at the jeweler or a pawn shop or something, they never give you, any kind of close to like a spot price for the weight value. I don't know, maybe you guys know people who do, but anytime I've ever, talked with jewelers or the pawn shop about it, they never give you a good deal on it. But in other nations, holding on to gold and silver, especially gold, is very popular, and especially in places like Turkey. Now, Turkey just recently have started issuing, I don't know if it's just recently, but there's a lot of news that's come out lately about their bond sales that they have been doing, where they have a lot of gold bonds. Now, India has always been, well, I don't know about always, but has been into sovereign gold bonds. And this is where basically you buy a bond and now you pay cash for the bond, but the bond is set in a certain amount of gold value, whether it's grams or ounces or however, and then it pays an interest rate. And then when the bond matures, you get paid in cash again on the weight value of whatever the bond is set to pay. So say, for example, and, I'm not positive on, what denominations of bonds that India sells, but just for example, like if it was today, and silver's or gold's at like around $1,700 an ounce, if you were to buy a bond from them, you would pay $1,700 for the bond. It would pay an interest rate, and then if gold was to rise to $1,800 an ounce by the time the bond matured, then that's what you would be paid, was $1,800 for the bond. If the gold drops down to $1,600 an ounce, then when the bond matures, you would get paid on $1,600, and the interest rates would be paid at the spot price value at the time that the interest rates were coming due. So a little complicated on that, but not really if you think about it. So there are countries who deal in sovereign gold bonds. But Turkey, on the other hand, the people there apparently don't really hold a lot of savings inside the banking system. So like here in the United States, everybody holds their money in the banking system. If you have a savings account, it's usually at your local bank. But in Turkey, they hold gold, and they hold what's called mattress gold. And so like a lot of people refer to mattress money as the money that you hold in your own possession at your house. Now, back during the times of bank failures and stuff like that, a lot of people held their money at home and they would stuff it underneath the mattress as if that was like a safe place to put it. But in Turkey, they have mattress gold, which just means that they're holding gold at their own home, at their own residence. And Turkey recognizes that there is a lot of gold in their country that people hold in their own possession. Like, from what I understand, they estimate it's anywhere from 3,500 to 5,000 tons of gold is sitting in their country just in mattress gold in these people's possession at their residence. And they want to try and tap into that amount of gold. I mean, it's, I think what the estimated value of it right now is somewhere around 300 to 400 billion dollars, and that would really help out the nation's banking system if that gold was sitting in the banks and not under the mattress, so to speak. So what they are doing is they're talking about how they want to set up, after the whole coronavirus and everything kind of, starts to dissipate, to try and get people to take that gold to the banking system by offering them the ability to hold their gold in the bank and then transact in their gold. Meaning that, if they want to, do like write a check or, do a transfer using mobile apps to deal in gold through the banking system. So when you hold money at the bank, you're actually holding gold at the bank and not just a cash value there. So pretty interesting stuff. So like when people say that, gold and silver are no longer considered money, maybe not here in the United States, but they certainly are in other nations. And if you kind of look at it as currency or you look at it as money, you can deal with it like it's money here in the United States as well. I mean, I have, and other people do as well. Anyway, I will leave links down in the description for those articles. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.